What's up, everybody? Hey, I just got done knocking with one of our sales reps here in Atlanta, and I just drove over to my area, so now I'm about ready to get out. It was pouring rain when me and Spencer were knocking together, and so it's nice that it's not pouring rain anymore, but it's kind of interesting knocking in the rain, because you'd think that like people would be more sympathetic to you because you're out in the rain, but people just don't care. And so the more you acknowledge that you're like soaking wet and like try to hope that they're sympathetic to you, the less they actually care. So it's like people become even more hostile if you're like trying to make a thing out of them, hopefully listening to you because it's so pouring rain outside. Good way to not get frustrated if you're knocking in the rain is to just try not to even acknowledge it. You can make a joke like, hey, it's just a little wet out here, staying dry. You staying dry as well? Okay, sweet. So then it's just like you get back into your pitch straight from there. I'm right next to this like forest, so this should be a dope little knock the rest of the day. I had the team I'm knocking with today. I have the Isaac assigned me area random, so this should be fun. Anyway, I had a couple thoughts in my mind that I wanted to share. I'm trying to do a quick little video before I go out and knock each day, just so that you can see as we go on throughout the year, like the summer, the different stages that I see people go through during the summer, how that can impact sales and what to do to avoid dips in sales and to get up to like your peak heights in sales as quickly as possible. And I want to do these videos kind of in real time as the summer goes on, because it's going to help give you some insights just based on my experience of years of doing this and how to avoid each of those phases. The phase that we're currently in right now is it's like the punched in the nose phase. You find out who people really are when they come upon some difficulties. And this is, in where I'm particularly knocking, it's a new market that we haven't knocked in before. And so you find people that have all these beliefs about area and what area actually means now, because it's either their first new market or even their second or third. And it's just different than what they've experienced in others. And so it's very easy because it's so difficult. Like the job of knocking doors and being a door-to-door salesman is so difficult that it's so your brain wants to find the thing that will make it the easiest. And oftentimes the thing that will make it the easiest is looking outward and saying, oh, the reason why it's so hard is because of X, Y, and Z, rather than looking inward and saying, I can change myself in order to fit the circumstance to make this better and to actually go win. Your brain is just automatically triggered to like seeing outside things and wondering like, or putting the blame of the difficulty on those things so that you can make it easier for yourself. But that's just not the best way to make this easier. Is to accept that it's hard and go like tackle the hard. And as I was thinking today, it's like it was just pouring rain when we started knocking, and we still just got out of the car anyway and just started like crushing it. I mean, the sale that I got, I was on the doorstep with the lady and I was soaking wet, and I didn't want to like step into the house, or I didn't want to even have her invite me in the house because I was so wet. Like I didn't want to get the house wet or anything, or their inside, because it's a nicer home. And so I was having a hard time hearing the woman as I was pitching her because of how like loud the just downpour of rain was. But as I was going through the sale, so I really tried to follow strictly the roadmap and make sure that I hit every checkpoint. And as I was going through this sale, I started thinking to myself, like, it's very important that I don't move on from this checkpoint until I've actually achieved it. So if I'm trying to build certainty in the product and the service that we're selling, you can't actually move on to other stuff until you've actually solidified certainty, or at least gotten to a point where like they like what you're doing. Like it's like a high level of certainty, like, yes, I get it, I like it, I could see myself using this, right? And then once I know that's the case, I'm going to move on to building certainty about myself. I'm going to move on to, if that's what's keeping them from buying, if they're still not buying, and I'm going to move on to building certainty about my company. So that's very important that you don't move on through the different checkpoints until you've actually accomplished the purpose of each one. So in the front half, in that front part of the sale, my whole purpose is to build certainty about the product and the service. I do that. I need to build rapport so that they actually listen to me, so that I need to take control of the sale so that I can actually get my point across. But if you think about it, really the whole purpose of that first part of the interaction of a sale is to get them to say to themselves, like, I trust this guy enough to listen to him, but I want this. Like, whatever he's got, I think I want this. Like, it sounds pretty good to me. And then I'm going to give them price to justify and I want I'm going to give them price so that the value justifies the price, and I'm going to reinforce that, and then I'm going to close and ask for the sale. And when I ask for their business, then I'm really just, I'm sitting back and like checking in and saying like, how do they feel about this? And I can't, right there, once I know how they feel, I'm going to match their tone and then keep going on. This is what I did with this woman. I was like, okay, so the first objection she gave me after price, she was like, I've just been with my guy. I'm very loyal. I love my company. I've been with them for a very long time. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, but if you could just email me the information so I can look over it, I'll get back to you. And so then I was like, okay, fair enough. I want you to make a good decision, Janet, but let me just ask you a question. If I came back, later, based on what I've said so far, if I came back later, would you consider going with me, like at a different time? Everything else aside, would you consider going with me down the road at least? So I'm using this hypothetical tonality, right? This hypothetical paraverbal set of like, would you at least consider it later? Based on what I've said so far. The reason I asked that is because that's going to give me insight into whether or not she likes it, whether or not she thinks it's a good idea, right? And she was like, yeah, probably, I definitely would. Probably later down the road, though. I'm not ready to make a decision now. All that's telling me is that she doesn't have enough certainty about what I'm doing yet. So then I built value, and then I kept building value because I couldn't get her up to the point to where she was like on the edge wanting to buy it, but she just didn't trust me or the company quite yet. I couldn't get her quite to that point, and so I kept building value, and then I followed the other checkpoints and finally got the sale about 4 objections after price. But all the while it's pouring rain, right? So I started asking myself, like, why would I knock in the pouring rain to get the sale? And why would I want my sales reps to go knock in the pouring rain to get the sale? Is it because I'm just some sales manager Nazi that you have to do things my way, and it's like this strict code where like, this is just what we do, this is how we behave, just because? Like, is that why I would want that? Or was there something about my goals that dictated that I should go knock in the rain because that's the type of person that I want to be, because that's the type of example of I want to be, but also because my goals merit some sort of sacrifice in order to achieve them, because they're a little bit more audacious. I don't think I can just sit in the car and not go out and knock, although I'm sitting in the car now, but I am about to step out and knock. I don't think I can just sit in the car all day while it's raining and not knock, because my goals dictate that I need to do a little bit more than that, right? And I've set my goals based on what I think my potential is. So I think that's more of what you want when you're thinking about like, should I do something that's hard or not in my job? Or like, should I do something that's hard or not when I'm out here in the summer selling? I love the fact that like I have a lot of sales reps that like buckle down and go knock in the rain, but I don't want people to go knock in the rain just because. I want you to go knock in the rain because your goals should be so compelling to you that you feel an urgency to go do whatever it takes to get them. But that's not even the most important part. I even care less about the goals than I do about like people setting their goals that are in line with their potential, like what they deserve for themselves. So this idea is really interesting because you kind of flip it on its head. It's like, don't knock in the rain just because you want to be like this hard-nosed salesman, or because you think your manager does. Knock in the rain because your potential has dictated what your goals are, and your goals warrant that you should go do extra stuff, that you should go when it's inconvenient, you should go achieve it. You should go like do something to try to achieve it, because if your goals are good enough, they'll be above what everybody else does, the average. Do average people knock in the rain? No. Well, average people don't perform super well. So if your goals are higher than average, then you should do things that average people are not doing. Or you should put in time to develop the skill set. You should not only do things day to day that other people aren't doing, the average people aren't doing, but you should develop skill sets that average people aren't willing to develop. Spend more time than average people are not willing to spend. And that should dictate, how you behave day to day, whether you knock in the rain, whether you're calling your customers, every day to try to get referrals for them, or text them on a scheduled basis to like see if you can really get that churn going and provide more value to them over time above and beyond what the company does, so that you can get more referrals. When you have high goals and you are dead set on achieving them, you'll do whatever it takes to achieve them. especially because part of that means being not delirious or kidding yourself about what it's going to take, right? Like, you can't be the type of person that says you want to sell or service 400 pest control accounts at like a 650 contract value, which is pretty audacious. And then you're just, every time something hard happens, you just blame something on your manager, or you blame it on the weather, or you blame it on how you were treated, or you blame it on blah, blah, blah. I'm not in the market I want to be in. It's like, why are you letting all of these outside things make it so that you're renegotiating your goals, and in turn renegotiating your output according to your potential? Which is like, if your potential is here, but you're like letting all of these things down regulate your goals so that they're just lower and you accept less, then like, that doesn't feel very good. It doesn't feel very good to achieve something that's not your potential, or not strive towards your potential. And I think all of us, like deep down at the end of the day, I think we all want to do something really great. And so doing crazy things to achieve your goals, don't do them just to do them. I mean, some people do, right? They have high standards for themselves, but like, and they might not have a very high vision, but like, go let your potential of who you can be, and everybody can be something like great. It does not matter where you came from, who you are, what experience you have. Like, you owe it to yourself to go do something great, but don't let your goals be negotiated with because something gets hard. Like, don't down regulate those goals. Let your potential dictate what your goals are, and let your goals dictate how you behave. And if those goals are above average and you're not willing to go do things that like the average person wouldn't do, like knock in the rain, or like when it's cold outside, it doesn't matter if you forgot your umbrella or not, or like when your iPad dies, or you know, you don't have a Segway, you can't go ride your Segway around now because you have to walk. Heaven forbid you walk from door to door, right? Don't let your circumstances dictate how you behave. And if you're not willing to go do things that the average person isn't willing to go do, that the average person would be deterred from doing because it's hard, then like, if your goals are above average, you're just kidding yourself, right? And that's a good check to say, like, do I really want my goals? And then you can reevaluate and start from the beginning, and really go through and like become emotionally compelled towards those goals, and really try to make an effort towards actually achieving them based on your potential. I hope that makes sense, guys. But I'm just thinking about that today. Like, if your goals are average, then yeah, don't knock in the rain, because average people don't knock in the rain. But if your goals are just average, then you're really living below your potential. And that kind of sucks at the end of the day. Well, at the end of your life, if you realize that you could have been something more than you were, but that you just didn't put the effort in because you wanted to be comfortable, that would really be terrible. So like, let that potential, who I can become, dictate what your goals are. And then let those goals dictate how you behave, and whether or not you're doing things that the average person is doing, or whether you're doing things that are above average. And if your goals are above average, then for sure, if stuff comes along and the average person would stop knocking, then you should definitely knock in that time. If the average person would stop half hour before dark, you should definitely knock after dark. But not because your goals dictate it, and because your potential merits or warrants that you have goals that are higher than the normal person. Anyway, I'm gonna go out and knock. I'm getting antsy to get out there. So I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys on the leaderboards. Talk to you soon.